Hello everyone. So my part is to share with you how to evaluate sources, especially the ones we find online. Evaluating information sources is a very important part of the research process. Not all information is reliable or true, nor will all information be suitable for your paper or project. Print and internet sources vary widely in their authority, accuracy, objectivity, currency, and even coverage. Users must be able to critically evaluate the appropriateness of all types of information sources prior to relying on the information. Here's our learning outcomes. First is we identify the types of resources or publications. The second one is we will be differentiating the information sources. And lastly is the main event, which is to evaluate online sources. Are you ready? Let's start. An important part of gathering and evaluating sources for research projects is knowing the difference between popular, scholarly, and trade publications. The first one is popular publications, wherein the publication's intention is to inform and entertain the readers. In other words, it's for leisure reading. Examples are National Geographic, Time, Reader's Digest, and Good Housekeeping. This type of information source is to be used by academic scholars like you. Scholarly publications disseminate research discussions on specific field or discipline. These are peer-reviewed and went through meticulous process before even being published. Examples given are subscriptions we have in the library, like JAAS, which is the seminary's publication. The last one is the trade publications, which are not scholarly nor popular. It is focused on a specific discipline like scholarly sources. However, it is also including sales and marketing products to improve other businesses. In other words, trade publications is to inform about business or industry news, trends, or products. Examples given are Spirituality and Health, Biblical Archaeology, and Catholic Digest. In general, there are three types of information sources. These are primary, secondary, and tertiary. It is important to understand these types and to know what type is appropriate for your coursework prior to searching for information. The first one is primary sources, which are original materials on which other research is based. This includes autobiography, case studies, diaries, historical and legal documents, statistical data, speeches, and etc. Next, we have the secondary sources. These are those that describe or analyze primary sources. Examples are biography, criticism, dissertation or theses, articles in newspapers or popular magazines, and even reviews. The last type of information source is the tertiary sources. These are those used to organize and locate secondary and primary sources. In other words, it is a published or unpublished work containing information that has been compiled from primary and secondary sources. Examples are almanacs, chronologies, dictionaries and encyclopedias, directories, guidebooks, indexes, abstracts, manuals, textbooks, theses and dissertations, and even databases. That has the online indexes that usually include abstracts for each primary or secondary resource and may also include a digital copy of the resource. It's now time for the main event, which is evaluating online sources. The internet, especially the World Wide Web, has surpassed most libraries in the quantity of information it makes available. However, the web has not surpassed libraries in the overall quality of information it makes available. So here are some tips that will help you evaluate information you get online. Before we proceed, let me ask you, do you ever feel that Google sees through you to the point that it easily gets what you want to see? Here's how Google rank your search. The first one is by country or location. It can identify where you are coming from or where you are searching. Second is the personalization, wherein It differs depending on what setup you do with advanced search. Third is the browsing history. These are based from your previous searches. It also detects your activity in other Google Suite. Also, it can identify similar searches or results by popularity. Google has this claim on their data privacy: things you do, create, and things that makes you you. This means that Google can actually track your activities online. This is just a little reminder to be careful on giving out private information. One famous Google feature is the Google Scholar. This provides a simple way to broadly search for scholarly literature. However, this does not cover all key journals in all subjects. It doesn't have a source list. Google Scholar also includes materials that are not peer-reviewed, but it looks like an academic article, including the font, the authors, affiliations, abstracts, keywords, and citations. Google Scholar also includes open access materials, preprints, and institutional repositories. So it's a mixture of everything. I'm not saying to not use Google Scholar anymore. Google Scholar is a good resource. However, you need to be very critical in analyzing and evaluating the resources you get from this database. So the question is, how do we evaluate online sources? Identifying trustworthy content should be part of your research journey. As mentioned earlier, authority, accuracy, objectivity, currency, content, and coverage should be considered in evaluating online sources. The first one is authority. So here are some questions that you can ask yourself when evaluating a source. Question the author's credibility. If you are using a scholarly journal article, it is relatively easy to find author credentials. Most scholarly journal articles give information about the author's academic career. The place where the information is given may vary. Of course, consider the publisher as well. This can help you determine the origin of the document. For example, whether it is produced by an established publisher, a government agency, a non-profit organization, or a commercial website. Consider the publisher's reputation and trustworthiness. The next one that we should consider is the accuracy. Are factual information clearly listed? Is it free from grammatical errors or spelling? Can the facts presented on a website be substantiated elsewhere? Beware of information that can't be confirmed or that presents a biased view. Always check multiple sources to determine credibility. Related to this is the objectivity of the page or the resource. Determine if the page is masked for advertising. If so, information might be biased. Verify if page provides accurate information with limited advertising and it is objective in presenting the information. Questions you should ask yourself: does the content appear to contain any evidence of bias? Is there a link to a page describing goals or purpose of the sponsoring organization? If there is any advertising on the page, is it clearly differentiated from the information content? You can have a clue of what the web page objective is by just its website domain. The domain suffix provides you with a clue about the purpose or audience of the website. This can also give you a clue about the geographic origin of a website. Here's a list of common domain suffixes: .com for commercial sites, .edu for educational institutions, .gov for government, .org for nonprofit organizations, and lastly, .net or network. Be critical in evaluating .net websites because this means that a website doesn't fall from the categories of a commercial site, educational institution, government, or a nonprofit organization. When evaluating online sources, also try to check the links. Links that are broken might not be a very reliable source, and this can mean that it's not maintained on a regular basis. Legitimate references and links to other sources can add to a document's credibility and depth in scholarship. A broken link like this one, it's a very big no-no. Next is the currency. Be aware of when the web page was created and how recently it's been updated. Is the information current? Outdated information indicates that the page is not being maintained. It could also mean that the information is incorrect or incomplete. Lastly is the coverage. This is one of the most important factors to consider before using the information on a web page. If the information appears one-sided, it could be evidence of bias. Also, you will want to see if a page is presenting a new perspective on a topic, or just maybe summarizing other sources. If it summarizes other sources, you will likely want to get hold of the originals, right? If it is difficult to assess the topics covered, or the arguments are not presented very clearly, I think you might reconsider before referencing this site. So in summary, you may forget all the other information I've shared with you, but please don't forget this. When fact-checking information you get from the internet, consider this poster we got from the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, or IFLA. Consider the source. Click away from the story to investigate the site. Read beyond. There's more to the headlines, I'm telling you. Check the author. Do a quick search on the author. Is it credible? Supporting sources. Click on the links and determine if it supports the story. Check the date. Reposting old news stories doesn't mean that they're relevant to current events. Is it a joke? Research on the site and author just to be sure. Check your biases. Consider if your own belief could affect your judgment. And lastly, ask the experts. Ask a librarian. Ask us. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We have our Facebook account at IS Library. You can email us at ask.a.librarian@is.edu, or you can chat with us through Aira. That's the end of my part. I hope you were enlightened in one way and would value the facts and not the chismax. Thank you!